Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be covering the Eradicator Lois Lane. Now, she made her first appearance in Tales from the Dark Multiverse, The Death of Superman, issue number 1, that was released in December of 2019. This Lois is an alternate version of the beloved Lois Lane that we all know from the Prime Earth universe, and she also stands 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighs 120 pounds, having blue eyes and brown or either black hair. Now, due to the actions of the Dark Multiverse's original Eradicator, Lois Lane gained vast superhuman abilities of a Kryptonian nature. And since we're familiar with these, I won't go into a very detailed description of her abilities, but just know she has the vast strength, speed, agility, flight, and other characteristics of Superman. Not to mention her being recognized as one of the top investigative journalists on the planet, as well as Batman one time stating that she's pretty nice with her hands, even when she was just a normal human woman. There's also one more benefit that the Eradicator Lois Lane had over a normal Kryptonian, which is the fact that she doesn't have the typical near lethal reaction to Kryptonite, the human side of her giving her just enough resistance that she can survive exposure to this lethal element. Okay, now everything about this version of Lois Lane from this variant Earth in the Dark Multiverse is exactly the same as the one we know and love up until the death of Superman. On this Earth, Superman was also able to stop Doomsday, but of course he lost his life. And in this case, she was furious with the Justice League for arriving too late to help him, and she bottled up this rage. This anger was further fueled by the Justice League being front and center at Superman's funeral, when she and others that loved him and knew him even better than them were relegated to the back rows. Not to mention that it was a further insult that Lex Luthor was able to give a speech at Superman's funeral, knowing that Supes would be disgusted by that. Some time would then go by, and after Lois went to see the Kents in Smallville and had an emotional interaction with them, she went to Superman's Fortress of Solitude to return his tattered cape, not knowing that this would lead to an interaction that would change her life forever. You see, while there she would come across the powerful Kryptonian AI known as the Eradicator, who was going on and on about the fact that he was too late to put Superman's body into a Kryptonian Life Matrix to revive him in time. When the two of them interacted with each other, the Eradicator would let her know that he had kept some of the Matrix's energy within himself, and he had to expel it into someone else. And despite the massive inherent risks of this type of procedure on a normal human, the Eradicator would take up Lois's offer to take the power for herself, with her stating that she wanted to create a world that she felt deserved the Superman that they had. After this explosive transformation, she would take off with her new powers and immediately seek out the corrupt and violent to try to punish them for their crimes. However, the new Eradicator Lois Lane was not nearly as timid as many other superheroes about using brutality. It would become apparent to us that she was a complete savage when she approached Lex Luthor at LexCorp over his arms deals. Lex would brashly admit to committing various different crimes, including murder, right in front of her face, and then state that there was nothing she could do about it because she didn't have any evidence. But he didn't realize that Lois didn't have the patience of Superman, grabbing him by the neck and flying him into orbit at high speed until he burned up in the atmosphere. From this point on, Lois was all in, and she would be brutal in her assault of different villainous organizations and other criminals. She even went as far as running afoul with Batman after she took out the Joker right in front of his face. This confrontation would lead to one of her darkest moments yet, when she fought Batman who tried to take her down, which we could assume ended in Batman's death at her hands. Subsequent to this, she had the idea of preserving Superman's legacy, and to do that, she had to take out the only one that could ruin it, namely Cyborg Superman. And when she approaches this powerful supervillain scolding him, he actually rebutted that she was no better with all the blood that was now on her hands too. He then went on to further say that he would tarnish Superman's legacy permanently by destroying the Man of Steel city, Metropolis. They then engage in an epic battle, with the superheroes Steel and Superboy arriving to help her out, but they were no match for Cyborg Superman, who quickly got them out of the fight. The now extremely enraged Lois Lane would break free of the bonds that Cyborg Superman had put her into and start a huge battle that would put civilians at risk. But amazingly, just as some civilians were getting ready to be hurt by some falling debris, the original Superman would show up alive and well to save them. Supes would explain that the original Eradicator miscalculated how long it would take for the Life Matrix to restore him back to life, although he was still in a slightly weakened state. And just as a deep conversation was about to arise from Superman asking Lois why the civilians were afraid of her, they would be interrupted by Cyborg Superman jumping back on the scene and wielding a huge Kryptonite cannon. The careless Lois Lane would rush Cyborg, which caused an impact that would release the Kryptonite gas into the air. This would temporarily put Cyborg Superman out of commission, but unfortunately it would cause her beloved original Superman to choke on the gas and die for real. This ironic turn of events would leave her even more sorrowful, having the knowledge that she caused the death of her beloved Supes. And unfortunately for the rest of the world, this would prompt her descent into an even darker figure than she already was. Now, for her powers and abilities and her influence on the DC universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give the Eradicator Lois Lane a rating of 8, which is an unforgettable rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join the new Sage.